Everyone in the old hostel used to joke about room 27 at the end of the hallway, but nobody ever stayed there for more than one night. At first, I thought it was just another stupid college rumor meant to scare new students. The building itself already felt creepy, long narrow corridors, flickering lights, and walls so old that every step echoed like someone was walking behind you. But what made room 27 different was one strange rule the seniors always repeated: whatever happens, never look at the door at 3:13 a.m. They never explained why. They would just laugh nervously and change the topic. The first night I moved into the hostel, I ignored the warning completely. I told myself ghosts weren't real and people just liked making up stories to scare freshmen. Around midnight the entire floor became silent. The laughter, music, and footsteps slowly faded until only the ticking wall clock and the buzzing ceiling fan remained. I tried to sleep, but the silence felt heavy, like the building itself was holding its breath. I checked my phone. 2:47 a.m. I closed my eyes again, forcing myself to relax. But a strange feeling kept crawling under my skin, the feeling that someone was standing in the hallway outside my room. Not walking, not moving, just standing there, watching. At exactly 3:12 a.m. I suddenly woke up without knowing why. My heart was racing even though the room was completely quiet. Then the clock on my phone changed to 3:13 a.m. And that's when I heard it. A slow creak echoing from the end of the hallway. At first I thought it was just the old building shifting, but then it came again. Creak, like a heavy wooden door slowly opening. My mind immediately remembered what the seniors had said earlier that evening. Don't look at the door at 3:13. But curiosity is a dangerous thing. I slowly got out of bed and opened my room door just a little. The hallway lights were dim, barely lighting the floor. At the very end of the corridor, room 27's door was open. Just a few inches. I felt cold air moving through the hallway, even though all the windows were closed. Something about that open door felt wrong, like it wasn't just a room anymore but a dark hole staring back at me. I should have closed my door and gone back to bed. I know that now. But instead I stepped into the hallway. Every step I took echoed loudly, and the closer I got to the door, the colder the air became. My breath actually started turning into mist like it was winter inside the building. When I finally stood in front of room 27, the door slowly moved a little wider on its own. No wind. No sound. Just the wood sliding open. Inside the room was complete darkness. My phone flashlight barely reached a few feet inside. Broken furniture, dust, and old stains covered the floor. But something else caught my attention. Deep scratches on the inside of the door. Long, desperate claw marks, like someone had tried to escape from inside the room. My heart started pounding as I realized something even stranger. The scratches were all facing outward, as if whatever made them was trying to get out. Just as I was about to step back, I heard a whisper from the darkness. At first it sounded like wind, but then the words became clear. You looked? The voice was dry and weak, like someone who hadn't spoken in years. My flashlight flickered and suddenly the beam landed on the far wall. For a split second I saw a shape standing there. Tall, thin, unmoving. I froze. My brain refused to understand what I was seeing. Slowly the shape moved forward into the light. It looked like a person, but something about it was horribly wrong. Its head tilted too far to one side, and its eyes reflected the light like glass. I tried to move, but my body wouldn't respond. The figure slowly raised one hand and pointed at the clock on my phone screen, which still read 3:13 a.m. Then it whispered again, this time louder. Now you stay. The hallway lights suddenly went out, plunging everything into darkness. My flashlight died at the same moment. And from somewhere behind me, I heard my own bedroom door slam shut. The next morning the students on the floor woke up to something strange. My room was empty. My bed untouched. My phone lying in the hallway outside room 27, still recording video. Campus security watched the footage later that day. For the first few minutes, it only showed the empty hallway. But at exactly 3:13 a.m., the door of room 27 slowly opened, and a figure stepped out into the corridor. It looked exactly like me. Same clothes. Same face. But as the camera zoomed in, one terrifying detail became clear. The thing wearing my face was smiling, and its eyes were completely black. The next morning the entire hostel woke up to chaos. Students gathered in the hallway, whispering nervously, pointing at the security guards and the broken yellow tape around room 27. Nobody knew exactly what had happened, but everyone had heard the rumors already. A student had disappeared during the night. That student was me. At least that's what the hostel record said. My name was missing from the attendance list. My room was empty. And the CCTV footage showed something walking out of room 27 at 3:13 a.m. wearing my face. But the strange part was this: while everyone believed I had vanished, I was still there. I woke up lying on the cold, dusty floor inside room 27, my head pounding like I had been unconscious for hours. The room was darker than before and the air felt thick and suffocating. When I tried to stand up, I noticed something terrifying: the door was gone. Not locked, not closed, gone. The wall where the door should have been was just solid concrete. I panicked immediately, running my hands across the wall searching for any crack or hidden opening. But there was nothing. Just cold stone. That's when I heard footsteps above me, like people walking in the hallway outside. They sounded distant, almost like the world outside the room was far away now. I started shouting, banging on the wall with everything I had. "Hey, I'm here. Open the door." My voice echoed strangely around the room, bouncing back at me like someone else was repeating my words in a whisper. At first I thought it was just the echo, until the whisper started speaking different words. Soft, slow. Right behind me. They can't hear you. My heart stopped. I turned around slowly, and in the corner of the room I saw the same tall figure from last night. It was standing completely still, half hidden in the darkness. Its body looked thin and twisted, like it didn't belong in a human shape. But the worst part was its face. It looked exactly like mine, except the smile was wider, stretched too far, and the eyes were empty black holes. I backed away until my shoulders hit the wall. What are you?" I whispered. The thing tilted its head again, the same unnatural angle as before. Then it spoke with my voice. "I'm you." For a few seconds, the room fell silent except for my shaking breath. Then the creature stepped closer into the dim light coming from the ceiling vent. I could see its skin now, pale, cracked, almost like old porcelain. "Every year," it continued calmly, "someone looks at the door at 3:13 a.m. Someone breaks the rule. And when they do, we switch." My mind struggled to understand what it was saying. "Switch?" I repeated. The creature smiled wider. "You stay here. I go out there." Suddenly, the truth hit me like ice water. That thing wasn't trapped in this room before. Someone else was. Someone who had looked at the door years ago just like I did. And now the creature wearing my face was about to replace me in the real world. I lunged toward it in panic, trying to push past it, but the moment I touched its arm, a freezing pain shot through my body. The creature didn't even move. It simply looked down at me with amusement. "It's too late," it said quietly. "The hallway already believes I'm you." Then, from somewhere above the ceiling vent, I heard voices, real voices this time. Students talking in the hallway outside. One of them said my name. Another laughed nervously. "Did you see him this morning? He looked different." My stomach twisted as I realized what was happening. The creature had already walked out of this room. It had already started living my life. And nobody knew the difference. The creature crouched down in front of me, staring directly into my eyes. "Don't worry," it whispered. "You won't be alone forever." I felt a chill run down my spine. "What do you mean?" I asked. The creature slowly pointed toward the concrete wall where the door used to be. And as I watched, faint scratches started appearing on the surface. Long claw marks carving themselves into the stone. Slowly forming the shape of a door again. The creature's smile widened as it stood up and stepped back into the darkness. "Next year," it said softly, "someone else will look." And that's when I realized something even worse. The door wasn't opening to let me out. It was forming so that someone else could come in. Days passed inside the dark room, but time didn't feel normal anymore. I couldn't tell if it was morning or night outside. The only light came from a small rusted ceiling vent, and even that light faded sometimes like the world above was slowly forgetting this place existed. I tried screaming for help many times, but the sound never traveled beyond the walls. It felt like room 27 was sealed away from reality itself. At first I thought I would lose my mind in that darkness, until something strange began happening to the wall where the door used to be. The claw marks kept growing every day. Slowly, carefully, as if invisible hands were scratching the concrete from the other side. At first it was only a few lines. Then a rough outline. After some time, it became the shape of a full door again. That's when I realized something terrifying. The creature wasn't lying. The door was being rebuilt for the next person. Somewhere outside, another student would eventually walk down that hallway at 3:13 a.m., break the rule and look at the door, just like I did. When that happened, the door would open again. And someone else would fall into this nightmare. But then another thought entered my mind. If the door opened again, maybe I could escape. I started waiting beside the scratched outline every night, staring at the wall for hours. Eventually I began hearing faint sounds through the concrete, distant footsteps, laughter from the hallway, doors opening and closing. The world outside was still moving forward while I remained trapped in the dark. And then one night, I heard something different. A slow creaking noise. Exactly like the one I heard before. My heart started pounding. I pressed my ear against the wall as the claw marks suddenly deepened, cracking through the concrete like something was cutting from the other side. A thin line of light appeared across the surface. The door was opening again. Through the narrow gap I saw the hallway lights outside and a shadow standing in front of the door. It was another student. A boy, maybe 19 or 20, holding his phone flashlight and staring nervously at the strange door that had suddenly appeared at the end of the hallway. My chance had come. If I moved fast enough, I could run through the opening and escape before the creature realized what was happening. I stepped forward slowly as the door creaked wider. The boy outside leaned closer, curious and confused. "Hello?" he called softly into the darkness. But just before I could reach the opening, I heard a familiar voice behind me. My own voice. "Don't," it said calmly. I froze. Slowly turning around, I saw the creature again standing behind me. But this time it looked different. Its body was more human now, more stable, as if living in the real world had made it stronger. Its smile was still wrong, but its eyes now had a faint reflection of light. "You're too late," it whispered. "I've already lived your life for weeks." My stomach twisted. "Why are you back here?" I asked. The creature tilted its head and pointed at the door. "Because the cycle must continue." At that moment, the door opened wide enough for me to clearly see the frightened student outside. He was staring into the darkness of the room, trying to understand what he had found. If I rushed past the creature now, maybe I could still escape. But then something horrible crossed my mind. If I left, that student would be trapped here instead. The creature stepped aside slightly, giving me a clear path to the door. Almost like it was testing me. "Go," it whispered with a grin. "Be free again." For a few seconds, my mind fought with itself. Freedom was only a few steps away. The hallway, the real world, my life. But behind me was the endless darkness of room 27 waiting for its next prisoner. I looked at the terrified student outside the door and realized he had no idea what would happen if he stepped inside. So instead of running out, I did the only thing I could. I grabbed the door and slammed it shut. The hallway light disappeared instantly, and the room returned to darkness. The creature stared at me in shock for the first time since I had met it. Slowly, the claw marks on the wall began fading, sealing the door permanently again. The creature's smile slowly disappeared. "You ruined the cycle," it whispered. I leaned against the cold wall, breathing heavily. "No," I said quietly. "I ended it." The creature stared at the sealed wall for a long time before slowly dissolving into the darkness of the room. And as its shape faded away, the room became completely silent again. Months later, the hostel management permanently closed the end of that hallway. Students say the building was renovated and room 27 no longer exists. But sometimes security cameras still capture something strange at night. At exactly 3:13 a.m., a shadow appears at the end of the corridor, standing where the door used to be. And if you look closely at the footage, you can see something even stranger. The shadow looks like someone guarding the wall.